Hello guys and welcome to Odds on Coppa Italia. We are going to analyze all the quarterfinal games with Daniele Fisichella. Hello Danny.
Ciao Edu, hello everyone.
Ciao Danny, but I also want to know your opinion, so let me know what you think in the comment section and live here also in the comments, and I will post all the questions to Danny. You will have the chance to win a £10 free bet with Novibet, and of course do not forget to click on the like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to get all the notifications. And now, Danny, let's go for these 4 games after the amazing match day we had in the weekend in Italy with Atalanta thrashing Milan. So the title, the Scudetto, is really interesting, and it's also this Coppa Italia with all the favorites except Roma. Actually, all the top teams in Serie are still in this round of quarterfinals. And if we check the outright odds, Danny, we see that Juventus is still favorite, probably also because they are facing a SPAL.
Yes, Juventus at the moment are favorites. The odds of 3 as they to win the cup, and I mean rightly so, because yes, they got the easiest run at the moment, because obviously they'll face the only Serie B team left in this competition. We talk about this a little bit later. Then Inter or outright winner odds of 4 because they are in decent form. Yes, they drew 0-0 against Udinese, but 2 weeks ago they beat Juventus at home in a very good performance. And after Inter, we got Napoli and Atalanta 5.5. 2 teams that are in different states of form, of course. Atalanta is flying. Napoli are struggling at the moment. A very difficult game for them at Verona. They lost. They didn't create many chances. But they play Spezia, who should be beatable, although Spezia did a miracle in Rome in Wednesday, and they almost did another miracle on Sunday when they only lost in the last minute after scoring 3. But it doesn't happen many times that you score 7 goals in Rome in 3 days, so be careful with Spezia. Milan, 6.5 winner. Strangely, I mean, it's quite high odds for considering that they are Campioni d'Inverno, but in recent times I think some cracks are starting emerging, and obviously they play Inter, so is a difficult game. See if the reinforcements Mandzukic, Meite, Tomori will actually add some quality and some strength in depth. Then we go Lazio 11. Lazio come from the back of 5 straight wins, and they beat Sassuolo convincingly at the weekend. A good comeback. And then, strangely, SPAL 51, more than Spezia. SPAL in Serie B 51, Spezia 81, the newly promoted. And these are the outright winners odds.
Then let's go game by game, analyzing what we have. Of course, only 4 games. We are in the quarterfinals, and we have Derby della Madonnina. What a first game for this round. On Tuesday, Inter Milan, and we saw how Milan won the Derby this year 1-2, with Zlatan scoring both goals. But in the weekend, you just mentioned how Milan were thrashed by Atalanta 0-3. There are some cracks in the in Coppa Italia. Suffer. Also, Inter actually suffered to beat Fiorentina in the extra time. So both teams, I think they arrive more or less at the same level at this derby. But if we have to take in consideration, for instance, a good rival like Juve, both faced Juve in recent times. Milan lost and Inter won. What is your prediction for this derby?
It's impossible to call an outright winner in a derby. It's very, very difficult to say who's going to win, because there's a lot of stake. I mean, they're always very balanced, quite tight games, and also there are going to be a lot of changes in formations, because for both teams, the league is the most important target of the season, and rightly so. However, let's start looking at Inter. Inter failed to score for the first time in the last 9 games at the weekend against Udinese, and they showed some of all limits. they tend to struggle when teams need to be broken down. Udinese played with 10 men behind the ball. They basically parked the bus in front of Musso, which was an extraordinary keeper. He's an extraordinary keeper, but his defense is helping him a lot. So Inter struggled to break them down. They were too slow. They didn't find the final pass. And this has happened time and time again in the last year and a half. However, 45 goal scores, so best team in the league in this sense. Second clean sheet in a row. They do concede a bit, so they do still leak goal at the back. 23 goal conceded in Serie A is not a great record. I don't think all the Inter starters are going to play because they go Benevento at home on Saturday, so they will be thinking we need to chase Milan, and Juve is coming to get us if we don't get points. So you could think that maybe an Inter win could be on the card, but in that regard, Inter probably, I think, won't have it easy. So let's start with a very ambitious bet. Halftime draw, and actually, halftime home win, full-time draw, 17, and then Inter to progress. So that's a very high odd. If you think Inter is going to take the lead in the first half and then Milan is going to come back and then they might go to the extra time, and who knows, maybe Inter could prevail. So that's the first one. In terms of Milan, lost the second game in the league, second home defeat. They were completely dominated by Atalanta, and they suffer against a quality team. It's the first time they failed to score in the league, but they haven't scored in the last 2 of the 3 games. So also there is the 0-0 against Turin in Coppa Italia. As I was saying before, we'll probably see some of the new faces. We see Mandzukic probably starting, Tomori might play, Meite will play again. How are they going to gel? We'll see, because Pioli has got a very difficult task in hand to make this new addition improving the team. So it's going to be difficult. We could say a draw, maybe. Draw could be another idea. 382 pays quite a lot, and it's not unusual for derbies to end in draw. But I'm going to leave my best tips for last, because I think, Edu, if you looked at the recent scores, in the last 9 matches, there have been a lot of games in this derby.
And this odds, Danny, is for full time, remember? So
yes.
If we have extra time, like we had in Fiorentina, Inter was also a draw. So this is something likely. And a good question, actually, is how serious these 2 teams are going to take this game, considering that they are both in the title race, first thing. But I would say they have easy games in the weekend. One is Milan is traveling to Dallara, to Bologna. Yeah. And you just mentioned that Inter is hosting Benevento. So theoretically, these are 2 games that they should win. So how seriously are they going to take Coppa Italia? Because no team takes these competitions really seriously in Italy, right?
That's true. In the first rounds, we see a lot of changes of formation, and teams have an eye on the league. But because of this game is a derby, I think they can't just throw it away. I mean, I think if a team loses by 1 goal margin, maybe it's a 1-0, 2-1, it's acceptable. But if any team takes 2 or 3 goals lead after 25 minutes, then that becomes very difficult to explain why that happened. So yes, there are going to be changes, but they're going to be motivated to take the game as seriously as possible. And also, for Milan going to Bologna, they need to show the recent away forms that they had. For example, when they had in Cagliari, and Bologna comes on the back of a defeat, and they played well against Juventus, so they could create chances. Inter host Benevento. On the card, they're favorites, but Benevento is a team that often scores, especially when they travel. So it's not... I think they are tricky games as well as the weekend. I was saying the goals bet could be probably the best market. In the last 9 games, there only been 1-0, 2-2 twice. There's been a 3-2 to Inter twice, 4-2 to Inter last year. Last game was 2-1 to Milan. So if you want to go for a goal in the goals market, over 3.5 goals, and that pays 270.
In the recent history of these clashes between the 2 teams of Milano, Inter is winning mostly, but this season, of course, we just mentioned how Milan beat Inter 1-2, and they also met in Coppa Italia, was in 2017, and in this case, the victory was 1-0 for Milan in extra time. Cutrone scored that goal now in the Premier League. So, yeah, so for you, the best bet would be a draw and probably going for goals.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, also, TS says that he thinks Milan is gonna win, and your odds for halftime Inter, full-time Milan, 17 are crazy odds for sure. It's a really good game. Let's see also how this affects to the Serie A, if there is a big result between these two teams. Then on Wednesday, we have another good game between two teams that are doing really good in Serie A, Atalanta, Lazio, probably the two teams that are more informed right now in the Serie A. Atalanta, they beat Milan 0-3. They are playing really, really good, although the previous two games were draws against Udinese and Genoa. In Coppa, they beat Cagliari, and the run undefeated is now 13 games. So be careful also Real Madrid in the Champions League. And Lazio, they beat Sassuolo, coming back. Immobile is really informed, 13 goals now and only 2 behind Cristiano Ronaldo, and 5 victories in a row. They beat Parma in Coppa Italia, and here favorite is Atalanta, 1.99, but be careful with Lazio.
Again, this is a game, we need to add a very big caveat to it. These teams, they're going to play each other again on Sunday at a Stadio Bergamo Azzurri d'Italia. So Atalanta is 3 points ahead of Lazio and is in the moment in the 4th spot for Champions League. And Lazio would like to probably qualify for the Champions League more than winning the cup. So I think in this case, the attention to the league is going to be massive for both Gasperini and Inzaghi. Remember, these two teams have progressed to the next round of the Champions League. They were probably the two biggest surprise of the previous Champions League. And obviously, Champions League money is very important for both of these teams that don't tend to spend crazy, but be very parsimonious with their spend. However, is a cup that Lazio has won before in 2019, beating who? Atalanta, 2-0. And that was a fantastic campaign for Atalanta's men as well. These are teams that always get praised a lot, but they don't tend to win much. So they will have the eye on the trophy, and I can understand why Atalanta is favorite, because they score 19 goals since January and only conceded 3. They might get rid of Papu Gomez, unfortunately for the Italian football this season, because he hasn't played much since December. He might go to Spain, they say, to Seville, but they are coping without him really, really well, because Pessina took his place and Ilicic is again having fantastic games. When Ilicic is on his day, we said this time and time again during these videos, he's almost unplayable. And against Milan, again, he was probably the best man on the pitch. So let's say that Atalanta could potentially rest some players for the key game on Sunday. So could do Lazio. And if you look at both reserves team or some changes, Atalanta are slightly stronger. So why not going for Atalanta to score in both halves? And that pays 262. But also, interestingly, there are a lot of good statistics on the goal market if you want to go for that.
Yeah, actually, I was checking now the goal market, for instance, both teams to score. Yes, is 1.56, something that we can expect, especially if, Correa, Immobile, Ilicic, Zapata are on the pitch, and they also expect a lot of goals. The bookies, we have over 2.5 goals, is only paid 1.57. So this means that they expect a lot of goals, and we always talk, Danny, about the attackers, of course. But with Atalanta, we have to put our eye on Robin Gosens. He scored again against Milan, 18 plus 15. He has scored more than 15 goals and provided more than 15 assists. So this is crazy how this player is performing right now for Atalanta. Another weapon for Gasperini.
Absolutely, because in this 3-5-2 with Atebor and Gosens on the other sides, very often they find themselves in very interesting position, very good areas, and especially Gosens is a very good finisher. Can finish also with his head. We saw with in the game against Milan as well, and he provides assists. So it's a really good weapon. Will he play? Will he be rested? We'll see, because Atalanta's got options on the flanks as well, although not of the same quality as Gosens. If we look at the goal market, since 2016, 10 games between these two, 41 goals. So the average is more than 4 goals per game. There was a 3-3 twice. Once Lazio even won 4-3 in Bergamo. So if you want to be even more adventurous than more than 2.5 goals, go for over 3.5 goals. And that pays 250. But, these teams both can score, and they are far from perfect at the back. Lazio will miss few key players, will miss Leiva, is suspended, will miss Luis Felipe, has got an injury. So, this team can also, it's not very tight at the back, if you like. And against Sassuolo at the weekend, they conceded a few chances to the Neroverdi.
With Caputo scoring, well, let's hope that we see a lot of goals. We expect that in this game. There is one fan here, George, that is gonna be very happy because he says he's a Lazio fan, but also Atalanta is his second team in Italy. I think is right now the second team of many people, Atalanta, because they are really eye-catching to watch. So let's hope to have some fun on Wednesday. Is easier, no? Our eyes would be, I guess, in this Atalanta-Lazio, but we also have Juve SPAL. We just said how Juve is the big favorite to win the title. And well, during the weekend, they beat Bologna. Still not really convincing, Pirlo's men, but they have had a really good week. They won the Italian Super Cup after losing the Derby d'Italia. At least they bounced back. And now they face a team of Serie B, the only one standing here. They are fourth right now. In the weekend, they drew against Cremonese, but SPAL beat Sassuolo already. They've won 4 games to get here. But, well, it would be the biggest of the surprise, no? Seeing SPAL in the semifinals beating Juventus.
But, I mean, is a history day for SPAL, for the team from Ferrara. Having the opportunity to go to the Juventus Stadium and playing, I think, is already a great achievement. Yes, it will be the biggest shock probably in recent years in the cup. Let's start with Juventus. They are 7 points behind Milan with a game in hand, so they're far. The title race is far from over from them. They come on the back of 2-0 wins, so they bounce back very well after the defeat in the Derby d'Italia. They bounce back well in terms of result, 2 convincing wins, but also we have to say that against Bologna they were a touch lucky. They scored because the shoot from Artur had a massive deflection. I mean, a deflection as big as I cannot even do the gesture because it is too big. And then Bologna had some chances. They should have scored at least one. The problem with Juventus is sometimes when they are in command of games, they tend to switch off. They still don't have that killer instinct that they had in previous years. Perhaps in previous years, they were trying to play, or they were playing less well. They were a little bit more conservative, but they could kill teams off. This team still concedes a lot of chances to the other teams, and they do struggle. And in fact, when they play against Genoa in the previous round, although Genoa had the reserves, Genoa managed to come back and score 2 goals in Turin, and then Juventus had to go to extra time to actually win it 3-0. I think Pirlo has found the balance finally with McKennie in midfielder, or he already scored his 4th goal of the season. Will he play? I'm not sure. Juventus needs to go to Genoa. Then, the title is much more important for them. Dybala might not be back yet, so maybe an extra shift for Ronaldo up front. Ronaldo is not living his best moment. With SPAL, they drew at the weekend in Cremona. Their away form is very patchy. They already lost 3 games away. It's a team that played 3 years in Serie A and is thinking about bouncing back straight away. But I think they are missing something in the scoring department. They're trying to bring more people on in this January transfer market. They missed Floccari, the 38 years old, glorious striker. I mean, he's been playing forever, but he got a slight injury on his eye, so he might not play in Turin. And they won in Sassuolo with the reserves. What is Pasquale Marino, the manager, going to do? Is he going to go with the reserves again in Turin and just try his luck, or he's going to play some of the starters? SPAL going up this year, it's crucial. They have to, otherwise they might struggle a lot in Serie B for years to come. Juventus obviously is usually favorite. You could go for Juventus winning 2-0. It pays only 180. That tells you that, the Bianconeri are favorites. Or if you want to be adventurous, Juventus to score in both halves, 1.91. Again, is a very low odd for the risk you're taking, considering Juventus is going to make changes as well.
Yeah, we have to go for Juventus Asian handicap -2 with 2.19 to see some good odds. You just said that SPAL, they were 3 years in Serie A. Recently, they lost all 3 games in the Juventus Stadium, but they were able to win 1 game in Ferrara, 2-1. They also drew.
And who scored? Floccari. Floccari has got something for Juventus. He already scored 4 goals in his career. The first 2 with Messina in 2004. So, I mean, we're talking about, maybe internet wasn't even born back then. We would not be able to do this video.
And Petagna, that now is in Napoli, for the last goal that SPAL scored against Juventus. Actually, Tom was asking us, what is the first name that comes up to your mind when you think about SPAL?
Fabio Capello, because he used to play for SPAL back in the 60s. I mean, when you talk about SPAL, you're talking about a football that was in black and white. I mean, the glory days of SPAL are in the 60s. They even managed to go to a Coppa Italia final in the 62, and they launched the career of many players. Capello, Armando Picchi was the captain of the famous Inter of the 60s. Del Neri, who then became a manager. Recently, in the 80s, 90s, and noughties, they were more in the 2nd and 3rd division, mostly. In Italy, they even were bankrupt in 2012, and then started again to climb up the leagues. The most famous recent player is Lazzari, who plays for Lazio. They sold him 2 years ago. He almost plays 200 games for SPAL. But at the moment, I mean, the team you look is the same team that he had pretty much played 3 years in Serie A. The key player is Valotti. Then they have Di Francesco and Alessandro. These are good ball players. Up front, Paloschi once was considered the new Inzaghi, didn't quite make it for Milan, and Floccari if he will play. So that's my lowdown on SPAL.
Good. SPAL from Ferrara, that someone is asking us. By the way, of course, we already know the draw for the semifinals. So the winner of this Juve SPAL will play against the Inter or Milan, and the winner of Atalanta Lazio will play against the winner of Napoli Spezia. Our next game that we might think that everything is done for Napoli, but these 2 teams met in Serie A less than 1 month ago, and Spezia, very, very lucky, but they were able to win at the Diego Armando Maradona, and we saw in the weekend that Napoli, they are not that strong as we thought they were when they beat, for instance, Fiorentina 6-0, but they played really badly in the Bentegodi in Verona, and they lost, even if they took the lead with a very early goal scored from Lozano. And Spezia, you just mentioned at the beginning, Danny, of the video, how they were able to beat Roma at the Olimpico in Coppa Italia in the extra time, and in Serie A, they were this close again, Verdi, and Giallorossi to draw at the Olimpico against Roma. They already also beat Bologna in this Coppa Italia. So why not thinking Spezia to also knock out the reigning champion of this Coppa Italia?
Well, if they do it, it will be a lesser surprise than SPAL potentially beating Juventus. Remember, Spezia scored 7 goals in Rome without their main man, Nzola. So they did it thanks to teamwork, and they showed how much the team is playing very well together, no matter who he plays, because with Roma, they also play with the reserves. People like Galabinov, Saponara, who scored a fantastic chip on the keeper. And this player stepped up and also showed that the team can play exactly the same way. Spezia has to be praised because no matter who they play, they stick to their 4-3-3 formation. They press very high. They don't just throw the ball away. They don't play route one football. Of course, they do concede goals and chances, but they are entertaining to have a look at. And obviously, they did beat Napoli a few weeks ago. They were lucky back then. Napoli should have scored many more goals. And that's the problem with Gattuso's team that concerns me. When they have chances, they don't convert them. In recent weeks, they don't even create many chances. Against Juventus in the Super Cup, they were okay for 50 minutes. Then as soon as Insigne start dropping a little bit in form or in morale, they faded away. Same with Verona, score after 9 seconds. It seemed an easy game for them also because Verona is not very well known for their attacking force, but actually they managed to score 3 because Napoli switched off at the back. The defensive phase was very disorganized, and also they didn't create chances at all. Zielinski was not in form. Insigne was not on his day. Petagna, again, maybe he's playing too much. He should be replaced by Mertens for this game, who's coming back. It's a very important game for Gattuso. Some people are thinking, should he be sacked, maybe? Basically, the reason is, the question is, can he do more than what he's doing already? Remember, Napoli has got more points in the table than last season, but with the potential that Gattuso has, maybe we should ask a little bit more from him, especially in terms of tactics, changing the way they play, etc. But, sometimes things don't go your way. I would say Spezia Asian handicap +1. So I can't see Spezia losing with 2 goals margin, and that pays 288. Sounds a lot, but if you look at recent results of Spezia and Napoli, I think that could be in the card. Of course, you can also go for an easy one, both teams to score 195.
Yeah, actually, George was mentioning us this Asian handicap +1.5 in his case. He said odds of 1.97. So if we think that the Spezia might be the surprise of this Coppa Italia, or at least put Napoli in some trouble, we can check the Asian handicap +1, as you said, Danny, or +1.5. So we can get our money if Spezia put Napoli in trouble. Then we've analyzed all 4 games. We have your tips for these 4 games. We can also make an ACCA, no? Why not? In these
let's do it. Let's do one midweek. You can see it below. So it's Inter Milan both to score, Atalanta to win against Lazio, Juventus to win both halves, and Napoli Spezia both to score. The total odds is 14.80.
And if you have to say a semi-final now?
Semi-final, I'll say Atalanta, Napoli, Juventus, X. Too tough to call. A team from Milan. Okay.
Fair enough, then. Fair enough. Thanks, Danny. We've analyzed everything. Do not forget, everyone, if you enjoyed the video, to click on the like, subscribe to our channel, and click on the bell to get notification whenever we do these live shows. And we publish new content, like the new video we are going to have on Serie A this very same week. Thanks, Danny.
Thanks, Edu. Enjoy. See you soon.
Ciao.